Hello and welcome to 3V TV with me, Tony Brown of TonyLBrown.com, creator of the 3V strategy for business development and growth. We're here, it's another week, another Thursday evening, and I have got a fantastic show for you tonight. Trust me, it's gonna be fire. Um, Thank you for joining us. Thank you for taking the time to spend your evening with us. You will not be disappointed. We've got a fantastic guest with an inspirational story and lots of insights to share. So if you're interested in branding, if you're interested in business development, digital marketing, and you want to make the transition from employee to business owner, if you want to grow your business, and if you want to really refine your brand, then you're going to want to stick around for the next hour or so, as we're going to be covering all those things. Before we even get into the show and before I introduce my guest, I just want to thank you all for your engagement. It's been quite humbling just to see all the shares, all the likes, all the reposts, and all the engagement from the show. So just want to thank you. You know, really value that. It's those things that keep this show going. It's the fuel of the show. So just want to say thank you and encourage you to continue to do that. It really means a lot. So we really appreciate your engagement. I always forget to do this, so I'm going to do it from the offset. During the show, if while you're viewing you've got any questions you want to ask during the show related to business, branding or digital marketing, or just in relation to some of the things we're touching on, then there's a few ways you can engage with us, and I encourage you to do so. So if you're watching this on the Google Hangout, if you're live in a Hangout, then to one of the sides, this side or that side, there's a questions and answers box. If you post your question in there, we'll field those questions and we will respond directly on the show. If you're viewing this on TonyLBrown.com/freevtv, then at the bottom of the screen you should see a little red box which says start a chat or chat with us or something like that. You click that box and it will open a chat box, and again you can pose your question and we'll respond to it direct on the show. So we want to engage with you, we want you to engage with us, and we want to make this thing interactive. So there's two options there. I used to field questions on Twitter, but there's too many boxes to watch, too many screens to watch, so we're going to stick with those two. So use the question answers box on Google Plus and the chat box on TonyLBrown.com. Today we've got an inspirational story for you, another one. So I'm on Facebook. I'm just having a scroll through the news feed, and this story pops up in my timeline. And it was a picture of a written check, handwritten check, held next to a screenshot of a PayPal account. And I was like, that looks interesting. And the story went on to talk about an entrepreneur who has been online for just over 12 months, and they set themselves a goal of earning $100,000. And they wrote out this check. Her husband wrote out this check, and she just got her head down and started working. Lo and behold, the check surfaced, and they had hit that goal. They checked their PayPal account, and basically they more or less hit that target of $100,000 in that period of time. And this story really grabbed me, as I guess began to share the backstory of the struggles, the mindset, the work ethic, the focus, the overcoming those hurdles. It was really inspirational, and I reached out to this individual and I says, I would love you to come and share your story on 3V TV with you guys. So with us today we have Audria Richmond. She runs Building Big Brands. She's she's a branding consultant and strategist, and she basically helps entrepreneurs to refine their brand, to get real clarity with their brand, and to build their brand, and to ultimately make more money doing so. And It's a pleasure to have her here with us. So I've given our listeners a little, or our viewers, a little introduction. So I just want to welcome Audrea to the show, and I want you to give us a little bit more insight into who you are, what you do currently, and how you started out. So welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Tony, for being here. Like, I'm so excited. This is one of my first international interviews, so I'm super excited about that. Um, Basically, I'm a branding and marketing consultant. Um, I do branding and I do marketing.
Hmm.
I teach entrepreneurs how to gain visibility, attract clients, and make money, right? I mean, that's what we're in business for, to make
Hmm.
money. So, basically, I got started about a year ago in the online space. So how far do you want me to go back?
Okay, just give us the last 12 months, because I want to go back. So
Okay.
just give us an overview of where you are now,
hmm
sort of the last 12 months getting online, and where you're up
Okay.
to today, and then we're gonna go back.
Okay. Okay. Cool. So a year ago, I'm basically I'm at this job. I hate this job. I'm basically a marketing um, person for this mega church here in the city of Memphis,
Hmm.
and I'm at this job, and I'm like, okay, I had a breakdown a couple of months prior, and that it was we was basically hitting this rock bottom where I had to get a job. And basically, I decided to just go ahead and take on this job. And my ego didn't want me to take on this job. It was just like, hey, you can make this entrepreneur thing work. You can make it work. And I'm like, no, I can't. So I ended up taking on this job, and I ended up working at this job for about 3 months. And then I ended up joining this online community called B School.
Hmm.
And upon joining B School, I'm in this community. I'm seeing all of these women. I think one of the things that really kind of stuck with me was seeing all of these women thrive. Like, all of these women were talking about these crazy numbers and amount of money that they can make. And they're like, I just had a 10K month. And I just had a 20K month. And I'm like, whatever. I can't even get a 3K month or a 1K month. And here you are talking about making $10,000. And I'm like, okay, this can't happen. So after doing more research and reading several books, one of the two books that I always recommend is The E-Myth by Michael E. Gerber and Book Yourself Solid by Michael Port. And in this book, right, exactly. So in this book, he talks about creating a freebie, a lead
Yeah.
magnet, as they make reference to it now.
Hmm.
So I created this training called 10 Steps to Launching a Premium Brand. I put this training out there, and essentially when I set up the funnel, I had no intentions of knowing that I was setting up a sales funnel. I was under the impression that I was just putting myself out there. Like, hey, everybody, I'm this person that's really knowledgeable about branding and marketing. And initially, when I created the training from a survey perspective. I was really creating this training to see what I would bring to market. So
Hmm.
at this time, the only thing I had to sell or to present was this training, because I had ditched all my clients that I had before I got the job. So I ditched all my clients, all my local clients, and I just said, I'm just going to start fresh. I'm going to rebrand. I'm going to put myself out there, and I'm just going to put myself out there and do it.
Hmm.
So I initially created this funnel, the 10 steps to launching a premium brand, and I drove all of this traffic with Facebook ads and through social media to check out this 15-minute video.
Hmm.
And this 15-minute video was basically teaching you how to be big, how to go big, and really look big as a small company. And everybody started watching this training, and I started getting feedback, and I started getting comments. And then, before you know it, I was doing Skype calls. I was doing Skype interviews. So I started talking to everyone, and this one lady in particular that lived in Singapore, she was like, hey, I want to work with you. And I'm like, you want to work with me? I was like, I was really doing the calls for free just to survey people. I was not
Yeah.
looking to be a coach or anything. It's kind of like I fell into this space. So I said, give me about a weekend. Let me create these two packages. So I ended up creating these two packages. I created a $5,000 package and a $10,000 package. And she immediately was like, I was so scared to charge these rates, okay? Because, they tell you when you enter into the online space, you got to start with something that's little priced, and then you got to go higher, and then they like, you build this little funnel, and you got to go from low to high. And I mean, it was just all these different strategies and this technique. So instead of me following the rules, I'm one of those people that once I learn the rules, I like to break the rules. So I was like, okay, well, if everybody is going top to bottom, let me go from top. If everybody's going from bottom to top, let me go from top to bottom.
Yeah.
So I put these two packages together. I presented it to her, and I'm sitting here trembling because I'm like, okay, I'm about to type up the most crazy number known to man. I don't even know if I can get this. So I put the number in, and she actually responded back. She was like, oh, these are great rates. So for me, it was kind of like confirmation that I wasn't out of my zone, right? It was comfortable, it felt right, and she thought it was fine. So she said, well, I don't know if I can commit to a year, but can I do 3 months with you? And I'm like, sure. And I billed her for the 3 months. Now, mind you, I'll never forget this day. It was April 18th, 2014. And the reason I never forget this day is because the next day I was about to go turn in my car keys because I was like, I can't afford this car. Here you go. Here go the car keys. I'm done. But she ended up becoming a client, and I was able to pay not only 1 but 2 months of this car note. I was able to keep my car. And from that client going forward, I just started booking coaching clients one-on-one, one-on-one, one-on-one. And then October of last year, I launched my Building Big Brands program as a group, as a beta. And I was able to enroll about 30 people into my group, my first ever group coaching program. And then I relaunched it again this year, which we're working on the second round. And ever since then to date, I will say from February 27th to today, I've made over $100,000. I know when you seen the post, it was like 90 something, but it's actually $100,000 now. So
You've rounded it off.
Right, it's there now. So
Yeah. I'm gonna say what probably everyone else watching is gonna say. I'm gonna say, wow, that is amazing. I'm going to ask all the questions that I'm sure the viewers want. I'm going to ask the hows. I'm going to ask about the barriers. I'm going to ask about the hurdles, etc. What I want you to do. So you've painted a picture. Basically, in the last 12 months, you've built this very strong business based on a very strong brand, and also based on helping people to create a very clear brand for their own business.
Right.
Prior to that, what was it like? What was your day-to-day work like? What did you do? And because you're saying you've done all this in 12 months, that's a very short space of time to go from, to make £100,000 in your own business. Some businesses aren't turning that over in 3 or 4 or 5 years. But previous to that, and we'll look at that later on. But previous to that, what were you doing?
I was a professional photographer and professional graphic designer. And me and my husband, we have a juicing business called Juice Me Baby. So we also make cold pressed juice. Okay. So we running 3 businesses and still can't pay bills. It's like, what is going on? Like we're good at photography. We're good at graphic design. We know this juice is the bomb. Like, why are we broke? So prior to that, I used to be a flight attendant. I've always been in the customer service industry, always.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what I was doing before I went into the online space. We sold juice. I took photos and I did graphic design. And I felt like me transitioning from a person that do photography and graphic design to becoming a branding expert was like the best of both worlds, because I didn't have to give up photography and I didn't have to give up graphic design. And when you get into the online space, they're always saying, okay, you got to have a niche. You got to have a niche. What's your niche? What's your niche? So I felt like if I was able to provide branding, I didn't have to give up neither. So it's kind of like a win-win.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. So at what point did you make that switch? Did you just say, you know what, let's go for it? What was that period like?
I think I got tired of the type of clientele I had at the time. Like, I had clientele that always want to nickel and dime me. Oh, that's too high. That's too expensive. And essentially, I was just tired of being broke. I'm like, how can you be this talented and then not have nothing to show for it? And I just got really, really fed up. And I knew that I wasn't broke because of my talent. I was broke because of my education and the knowledge about how to attract business owners. How to attract business. And one of the biggest thing is, like, when you get it and you start a business, you got the gift, right? You're awesome at what you do. But where people fail at is not understanding marketing. How do you attract? How do you bring clients to you all the time? you know,
Yeah.
because once you do get a client, they eventually got to go. And one of the things that I also did that was different was I learned to incorporate other business models, because at the time I was only doing service-based business model. So eventually I added a recurring revenue model where I was able to get residual income month to month. And I realized that I was able to charge these premium rates because I was allowing people to pay over time.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So that first client from Singapore,
Mm-hmm.
how did you, how did you get that lead, and how did you build that relationship? Because I'm conscious that a lot of our viewers, the bulk of them are those who they want to make the transition, and
Mm-hmm.
they might be in a job, or they might be at the early stages of business, and to think about pitching a client at 5K, 10K off the bat is a bit like, whoa, okay, that's challenging.
Okay.
Am I worth that? I know we've had this discussion about pricing. We'll go into that later on. There's a lot of things we can discuss about that. But in terms of your mindset and pitching that person for that first time, how did you find that client, and what was the mindset in terms of I'm pitching them at this rate?
Um, you're asking some amazing questions. So this thanks. So I think the first thing was I met her in the same community that I had invested in. So in
Okay.
this community, they have over 13,000 women from all over the world. And initially, when I met her, I didn't even know she was in the community because she's not
Mm.
active. She wasn't active at all. So it was kind of like she found out about me and opted in for my training, and we set up a call.
Yeah.
Now, in regard, because I also did Facebook advertisement as well.
Okay.
So,
So you were very visible, even though
right,
you just launched. You
right,
were doing this the free video, the 15-minute training video. You were active in this group, and then you were doing Facebook advertising as well. So you
right.
were very visible.
And I missed the part that's super important. I had my stuff together. Okay.
Okay.
When
So
people came to my website, everything
yeah,
was organized. Everything was legit. Matter of fact, most people were like, why is she even in this program? Like, she has this
yeah,
beautiful website. She has these really cool videos. She has this, she got this really cool stuff going on. Like, who is this girl? It's kind of like I popped up on the scene and people were like, who is this? Who is she? It's this Audria Richmond girl.
yeah.
So it was like, that's one of the things that when people initially contact me, that's one of the first things that they say. Your branding is amazing. Your this is
Hmm.
amazing. Your that is amazing. And what I keep telling people is that before people open their mouth to buy from you, you got to
Yeah,
look good.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
think that's one of the things that helped me land that particular client. But as far as coming out the gate with those rates, for me, it was a confidence level. It was me stepping into something that I wanted to believe in myself. I wanted
Hmm.
to believe that I could charge $5,000. I wanted to believe that I was worth $10,000 because I am.
Yeah,
But,
yeah,
being in this online space, when you're taught to start small then go big, that's also a challenge. You're going against the grain. You're going against what the online marketers' granddaddies say. It's like you can't do it. It's
yeah,
impossible. So yeah, I challenge the norm, and that's what I always teach my clients and people that I know. Challenge the norm. Don't just blend in. You can't
yeah,
innovate if you look the same.
yeah,
So
yeah. I agree. I agree. So I mean, on pricing, we're there now. So let's stick with pricing for a minute. We had a discussion earlier about,
yeah.
and I know this is something that I've always been challenged with,
Mhm.
about number one, valuing yourself as an entrepreneur, as a startup, as a business owner. Sometimes we struggle to value ourselves,
Right.
and that impacts on our pricing. But also, we oftentimes, and this is a mistake a lot of people make, I hold my hand up, I've done it, is we
Mhm.
base our prices on our circle, those around us. So we'd look and say, well, would so and so pay that much for this service? Would
Mhm.
so and so be willing to pay for that type of service? And I think what you've shared, and you can expound on it, is you looked beyond your geographical kind of area and just went global.
Yes. It was okay. I decided that if I couldn't leave my hometown,
Hmm.
how else could I get to other people?
Yeah,
And when I discovered online marketing, it was like, okay, I could just go. I could at the press of a button, I could be anywhere.
yeah,
And for me, you know, being able to have global reach like that. And honestly, it wasn't my intentions. You know, there again, the training was meant to be to find out about me. It was never to
Yeah.
go straight global. Honestly,
Yeah.
that was more of a long-term goal. So I
Yeah.
ended up getting her, ended up getting a client in Brazil. I ended up getting a client in Australia. I
Mm.
ended up getting a client in the UK. So it's like I went international like within months. It like within 2 months I was international,
Yeah.
and honestly, it was just amazing, honestly. And I feel like because of my positioning and how I presented myself when I entered into this space and when I entered into this market, I think that's what's also positioned people to respect me, because I didn't come out like the average newbie. I didn't come out like, okay, everybody, get my little free ebook. You know, I didn't
Mm.
do what everybody else was doing. And what I did was I looked at what everybody else was doing and I said, okay, how can I do opposite?
Yeah.
And that's what I did.
Yeah. Okay. Note, remove free ebook off website. No, it's good. It's good. It's challenging. I think. I think what I love about this is, that there are certain people in the space, and they're out there. They're on like 80 odd grand a month. They're
Exactly.
kind of unreachable in terms of having this conversation and engaging with them, and to hear just a real story that is challenging in terms of the income that you've made and the business you've built, the brand you've built, but it's attainable. And I think what it's shown me, and what hopefully it's showing the viewers, is that we can do this. We can
Yes.
do this. And I think a question I'd like to ask is how important was it for you to have everything in order? I think when you shared that, just that's a big thing. Like I said,
Yeah.
a lot of newbies, they're not prepared for that. They're not prepared for clients in Brazil, for clients in Australia. So how important was it for you to have all those processes and systems in order?
It was huge. And the reason it was huge was because I knew that not having the proper systems in place was the reason why I was broke for 5 years
Yeah.
with 3 businesses.
Yeah.
So I knew, I was like, what is that missing link? And that missing link was not having the proper systems to take somebody from, hey, you fly, to, hey, let's make a deal.
Mm.
And I think when people enter into any business, not just online marketing, but just a local business, a small business, whatever type of business, we don't
Mm.
think about the yes. We don't think about that golden opportunity. We don't think
Mm.
about Oprah rigging us up and saying, hey, I want you to be on my show. We
Yeah.
think small. We're like, okay, well, I can just get this little cheesy website. I can get this little cheesy logo, and I'll be good to go. And it's like, you think it's small. If you want to have a big brand, you got to think big. And
Yeah.
I think for most people, they don't really think about that golden opportunity. Like, like really ask yourself, and this is a question I ask my students all the time: are you ready for the yes? Like, if
Mm.
somebody called you right now and said, I want to buy 1,000 of your programs and I want you to come to all of these countries and deploy your signature program, can you do it? Do you even
Yeah.
have the capacity? Do you even have the systems set up? So I
Yeah.
think being somewhat prepared allowed me to be able to scale so fast.
Mm. Do you think that comes from a mindset of, I don't say, like a lack of faith? Like, okay, I'm going to do this. My business is going to be this, and I'm going to put all these things in place. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll just see what
Right,
happens.
right.
Where what you're sharing is, it was a case of, I'm having everything in place because eventually a yes is going to come. So do you think that mindset comes from, or what are your thoughts in terms of where that mindset comes from?
Yeah, I believe the mindset comes from not giving up and not taking no for an answer, and not being that person that get chastised about not having it all in order. Like, the
Mm.
most embarrassing moment is a client on the phone. They're like, I'm about to give you $10,000, and they say, well, how do I get started? And you
Mm.
like, oh, well, give me a second. Like, you're not even ready. Like, where are you
Yeah.
sending them to? Or better yet, I don't have a website. Like, that's embarrassing. And
Mm.
people have these big fairy tale dreams. They want it all. They want the mansion. They want to be able to travel. They want home freedom.
Mm.
But they're not preparing themselves from a branding perspective. They're not prepared from a strategy level. They're
Yeah.
not prepared from a systematic level for automation, and they
Mm.
don't understand marketing for their target audience.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, for me, starting out in the business and marketing space,
Hmm.
obviously I built my business previously. I run a youth engagement agency. I've just stepped in, not just, but since January, I stepped out into the business and marketing space. And
Hmm.
when I took that transition, one of the core things that I'd done was hired a coach. And
Hmm.
that was one of the first things my coach challenged me to do. She says, off the bat, out the door, I want to see the money links on your website. I want to see your coaching program. I want to
Right.
see, your your client qualifying questionnaires, things like that. I want to
Mm.
see those things up and ready to go. Don't wait for someone to come before you start thinking about putting those
Exactly.
things in place.
Yes.
Thinking about, oh, how I'm going to charge them and how I'm going to bill them and how much am I going to charge them. You don't make it up off the top of your head. You have those things
Mhm.
in place, ready to go off the bat. So when they turn up, it's like, yeah, this is how much it is. This is how you pay. This is the process. Here's the questionnaire. Fill that
Mhm.
out. Get it back to me, and we can get going.
Right, and it also shows you as a professional. It also shows you as an expert, and it also
Mm,
allows the person that's giving you money to feel good about the investment. They're
yeah,
no longer on the fence on what you charge, because if people say, okay, well, how can you charge $5,000 or how can you charge $10,000 for a coaching program? Google me. That's my answer. Just Google me. I'm
yeah,
legit. Everything about me is legit, from my website to my social media presence, from my email newsletter to my signature program. I see
yeah.
so many people, they spend so much money on these really, really nice sales pages, but then when
Mm,
you get into their program, you like, what happened? It's like you dropped the ball on your members area, or your Facebook group sucks. So it's
mm,
just really being cohesive and making sure everything is consistent, and also making sure that the experience that the client get initially is the exact same thing across all platforms. You
yeah,
know.
yeah. Which it ties into what you obviously teach, and what we know about good branding is consistency. There's no point
Mhm.
you've got a wonderfully consistent website, and then you get on the program and it's all over the place. It's a mess. Or,
Right.
the payment system's just messy, and emailing back and forth trying to sort out things like that. It's being
Right.
consistent, and I think that's what I was really looking to focus on. Is oftentimes people get a misconception that branding is logo and maybe a color,
Yeah.
a color splash and a font. Tell us from your perspective, your deeper insights into what branding actually is.
um, branding is branding is when somebody was standing in line for your product, like me. I was standing in the line all day for an Apple product. That's branding. Branding is when you can connect with the person from the heart, when you can connect with people on the emotional level, when you can connect with people on the spiritual level, when people will save their hard-earned money to
Mm,
work with you. That's branding, because it's not about looking pretty. Of Yes, that's essential. That's how you position yourself and be great or whatever. But the overall picture of branding is what you stand for, and it's what is your why. Is people buy into your why, and if your why is strong enough, you build a brand. Just like people buy Tums because they don't buy Tums because he cool. They buy
yeah,
Tums because they know another kid gonna get a pair of shoes.
yeah,
So when you think about the branding is really your why,
mm,
and will your why have influence, impact, and inspire people on this earth. That's really
yeah,
what branding is all about.
yeah, yeah. And what do you think the biggest misconception about branding is? Now, let's say you engage with a client initially, and they think they've got an idea of
Yes.
what their brand is, and oh, I know about branding. Let's just see what Audrea can tell us. But
Right.
what do you find the biggest misconception is?
Oh, logos. I just need. Oh, you just a logo lady, or
Mm,
you just a lady that know how to put colors together, or you just a lady that can give me a really cool website. And I'm thinking to myself, like, if that's what you think a brand is, you need to go right back to the drawing board, because what happens is when people do come to me with that misconception, what I
mm,
realize is that they're still struggling in those other areas. Strategy, they're still struggling in marketing, they're still
mm.
struggling in systems. So even though you came to me with the intentions of being pretty, and yes, I can do that, you still don't have a foundation. You still don't have a brand, even with branding elements.
Yeah, yeah. So how do you how do you break that client down? Because people are quite passionate about their, their vision and their little baby. They'd come to you with an idea and they might have drafted out a logo and have, vision statements and whatever. What's the process of breaking that person down to say, look, I hear what you're saying. Let's go back. How do you do that?
Education. I love to educate people that come to me. Let me give you a prime example. I had a young lady that contacted us to get branding, and I felt like, okay, we need to make sure everything is cohesive, so why don't you do the program and then get branding? So the way that I break it down is that I let them know, okay, this is what a brand is, and this is where you are. But if we do all of these things, you can have a brand. So I show them the big picture, and then I show them where they are within that picture, and then I show them, okay, if we do this, we can create the picture. So I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does. It does. I think, yeah, in terms of educating the clients, oftentimes that's the biggest winner. Once you can educate them, this is what digital marketing is, this is what branding is,
Right.
This is what your website should be doing, and this is what yours is currently doing.
Exactly.
It's an
Before and
easier to.
after.
That's it. Yeah, this is where you are now. This is where you could be.
Right.
Yeah, this is where you think you are. This is where you actually are.
And people got the misconception wrong of sales and how to land the deal. How do you land a $10,000 contract? How do you land a $5,000 contract? One, you meet them where they are. Don't ever make yourself feel like you're superior or you're better than the person that came to you. Two, you make them feel valued, like they are well respected and that you honor their time, right? And then also, don't be so pushy, so quick to sell. Because a good sales call is a call where they say, how do I get started? Not you saying, hey, you want to get started? Like if you have to say that, you haven't done enough convincing on that sales call for that person to raise their hand. Because if you educate them enough, they will raise their own hand and say, I'm ready. So sales calls are not, people always teach these selling tactics. You got to, 30 minutes in, you hit them with this, and 14 minutes in, you hit them with that. And I'm like, dude, just tell them where they at.
Yeah,
and if they want to improve it, then that's what they do. And one thing about me, I've never been a person to push people into anything that I sell. I always let people do it at their free will because I don't want to work with somebody that I had to push to me to do the work. And if you got to do a lot of tugging, let them people be where they at.
Yeah. Okay, so I just want to summarize that because that's a big takeaway. So how to land a $5K or 10K contracts? Meet them where they are. Let them feel valued.
Yes.
Back off.
Right.
and let them lead. Yeah. So it's almost like you're laying out the stall and saying, look, this is where you are. This is what I offer. Education, value. If they want to buy, it's for sale.
Right, exactly. And I forgot where I heard it at, but so, just as well as you have to be prepared for the yes, you have to be prepared for the no. And you have to know how many no's do it take to get to the yes. It's kind of like how many licks does it take to get to the center of the Tootsie Roll Pop, And it's like, okay, you got to do, I got to have 6 sales calls before I get 1 yes. And then what you work on is your sales conversion. I've had this many calls. If I had 6 calls, why didn't close 6 calls? Then you might want to ask yourself, did I follow up? Did I provide them with enough information? Was I too salesy? Did I allow that person time to think about the investment? Was it worth it? I mean, it's a lot of different variables, to think about.
So how much time would you invest in a potential client? You've got that lead, they're showing some interest. How much time would you invest in them?
30 minutes.
Okay.
I'm able to land a deal like that in 30 minutes because I pre-educate and pre-qualify. Pre-educate is in the form of free existing content. So like my podcast, my blog, interviews like this, different things like this. This is pre-educating my client. So the second thing is to pre-qualify. If I pre-qualify you, then I'm able to see, are you able to afford what I'm even talking about? Because I don't want to waste my time. I don't get on the phone just to have fun talk about your brand. Like, can you afford to move forward? And it's one of those things where I have on my website, and I have these like special URL set up. If you go to the URL, I pre-qualify you by asking certain questions. And typically people that be like, oh, I have no marketing budget, but I'm ready to get ready now. I'm ready to get started. Now, it's certain questions based on certain answers where I'm like, nah, I'm not getting on the phone with you. And every time I've ever went against that, I've always regretted it. So I know based on how I feel, like, okay, this person is worth getting on the phone with. And so far, with having this pre-qualification process, I've been able to get a really high conversion rate, So, yeah.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is that the no is almost as important as the yes. For you to be willing to say, well, it's not working, or it's you're not ready for this yet. I mean, how do you break that to a client? If someone's looking like they're interested and they want to work with you, but you're like, it's not really gonna work. How do you break that to them? Just straight like that.
I mean, like, if you sugarcoat it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, essentially, you're not doing a good job in the sense, if you ask me, because it's like, if somebody come to me and they're like, man, I'm ready to do it, I'm ready to do it, I'm ready to do it, I can ask them like 5 questions that'll hurry up and shut them down, where they be like, you know what, I'm not ready myself, And these questions are so powerful because they have to think beyond right now. They have to think beyond this very moment. They have to think beyond how much money they got in their account right now.
Yeah.
And my questions challenge you to think big. So if you don't think big, don't call me. Sorry, because I'm looking for people. And let me just say this. The reason I can say this and I can be so bold and I can step into this place is because I know the type of client that I want to serve. And the reason that people are so unsure and they can't close deals and they can't close sales because they're on the phone with all these people they don't even know that they want to serve. I know that the person I want to serve are looking to rebrand or start a brand. So if you're not in those categories, what we talking for? I know that, so that means you got to know who you serving.
Yeah. So being very clear about who your target market is and the products and services you've got to offer to them.
And don't deviate from it. Because I see a lot of people meet people that their programs weren't designed for. And then they'll meet a client, they'll be like, oh, well, I don't really need that. I just need that part. And they start to break away their system to serve one person. Let them go. Let them be on their way. Only work with people that satisfy you and you can satisfy. And y'all can mutually have something and build something together.
Yeah, yeah. I think the challenge is, though, for a new startup, for a new entrepreneur, is to see the money walk away. You've got this lead. It might be the first lead you've had for a few months. Yeah.
I think that's the no. That's the no I was talking about.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's like,
just let it go.
When you don't have any money, of course, the best thing to do, especially whatever your situation is, man, I can't just work with I'll work with anybody. You got a check, I'll take it. When you're hungry and desperate like that, guess what? The clients can sense that. And what they do is they're gonna haggle you. They're gonna make you feel less than. They're gonna be like, well, he really needs this $1,000, so let me see what I can get for this $1,000. So
squeeze every penny out of you.
Exactly. So you have to be picky. I feel like just as much as a client can be picky about a coach can be just as picky about a client.
Yeah.
But we feel like because we offer this service, we just have to just take anybody that want it.
Yeah. A question I want to ask, it's what you've shared so far, it's been kind of up and up and up and up. You've done really well. The challenges, what have some of the challenges been in the midst of all this? Right. What have some of the challenges you face and how have you been able to overcome them?
Yeah, I've had people to sign up for a 10K program and don't continue. I keep it moving. I just pre-qualify better. And I've also shortened the time of how much time I give a person to pay. That's also improved. I've had people join my program and say, oh, this is not for me, and they want out. Great. I keep it moving. I don't hold any grudges. You do whatever you do, I'm going to do what I do. I know what I do works, and if you're not willing to do the work, by all means, leave. So I've had people start and not finish. I've had people try to sue me. I mean, I've had a lot of bad things, but despite those things, you can't be successful if you don't have bad things. So
Yeah.
I look at those things, and I look at all the things that's happening, and I look at it as I'm writing a story, essentially. And it's just another chapter. You know, when I get a crazy client, I send them on their crazy way, and I keep it moving. You know, so.
Yeah. Yeah. Excellent. Excellent. Well, just to remind viewers, you are welcome to submit your questions. We've covered a lot so far. I've just looked at the time. We've flown. You know, these 40 minutes has flown, full of value. If you've got any questions and you're in the Google Hangout, you can post your questions in the question and answers box to the right, and we will field those questions and respond accordingly. If you're watching this on TonyLBrown.com/3VTV, there's a little chat box at the bottom, a little red box. If you click that, and again, you can post your questions, submit your questions to Audrea, to myself, business, branding, digital marketing, overcoming barriers, pricing strategy, all those type of things. Ask your questions, and we will respond to them. Before we move on, I've got a quick fire round I want to pose to you. And the way this works is I've got a number of questions. They're multiple choice questions, but you can only give us one answer. I'm going to press you for one answer, and you can't deliberate. You can't ask the audience. You can't phone a friend. I just need the answer. So, are you ready?
Yeah.
Instagram or Twitter?
Instagram.
Pen and paper or laptops and tablets?
Pen and paper.
iPhone or Android?
iPhone, baby.
Quiet night in or big night out?
Quiet night in.
Okay. Facebook or Google Plus?
Facebook.
I'm going to ask that question again, and we're going to discuss the paid reach issue.
Okay.
Steve Jobs or Bill Gates?
Steve Jobs.
Okay. Work from home or in the office?
Home.
Okay. Audio book or paper-based?
Audiobook.
Okay. Juice or smoothie?
Juice.
And lastly, no, actually, photography or graphic design?
Ooh, that's a hard one. Graphic design.
Okay, we know where you are now. And lastly, my wife asked me to ask this one: twist out or Bantu knot?
Twist out.
Okay.
Twist out.
Yeah. Excellent.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I mean, we was looking at your Facebook, and I can see you had a big throw, and I thought, it's good to see just the realness. We see all these glossy photos on people's websites, right, and all these, they're all suited and booted and looking all prepped and things. And it's, for me, I think in terms of building a real strong brand, sometimes right, we've got to be transparent and we've got to be vulnerable, and just to show that kind of. That's it. Well, how easy is it for you to do that?
Super easy. Probably too easy at times, because I've gotten burned by being too friendly and too nice and too transparent. So I think, an even balance is good.
Yeah. And how do you maintain that balance? Obviously you're running these programs, you've got these clients, you've got these students, etc., on your coaching program. How do you maintain the balance between how much access to allow them and, kind of keeping your own time and keeping those boundaries in place?
It goes back to having systems, knowing what you can tolerate and what you can't tolerate, knowing what you're willing to do and what you're willing not to do, know what you're willing to sacrifice and what you're not willing to sacrifice. And that's, for me, has made it attainable. I know for a fact I only want to work 2 days a week, 3 days when I'm running the coaching program. And I know a certain amount of money. Like, we have this thing we call big money goal. And your big money goal is how much money you want to make a year divided by 4 divided by 3. And that's how much money you got to come up with every month. So you got to ask yourself, what type of service am I going to have? Because if I want to make $100,000 a year, and that means I need to be making about $8,333 a month if I want to be technically correct, right?
Yeah.
So you got to ask yourself, what kind of service can I sell to make that? And then it's going to also help you with your products and services, because people say I want to make $100,000, but they got like a $10 program. I'm like, dude, that's not going to happen. Like, how many units do you have to sell to make $10,000? You know, so
Yeah, yeah. And again, for the viewer who's thinking, well, is it really that easy? Is it really that easy?
I believe it's very simple, but some people can make it challenging because, you know, they got this thing called ADHD, whatever that means. It means you can't focus. And I mean, you need to focus. You need to focus on one project at a time and only deploy projects based on you've done a trial, you've done a beta, it works, push it out there. One of the things that I realized that kind of helped me scale was advertisement. Most people don't want to do advertisement. And I'm like, you missing out. If you think you're going to scale and be a big brand without putting money on the table, you need to go back and get your 9 to 5. And, you know, some people might say, well, I don't have a job, or I don't have that kind of money, or whatever. Man, if it means you can't have your Starbucks just to buy a $5 Facebook ad or a $10 Facebook ad, then do it. But I feel like don't have no excuses, because what kind of business do you know make money without putting money in?
Yeah.
That goes back to investing into not just yourself, but your business.
Yeah. And how important was that as well? I mean, you mentioned you enrolled on B School, you're involved in other coaching programs. I read on that same Facebook post about the amount of money you spent on books and personal development. How important is it for the wannabe entrepreneur, the potential entrepreneur, the existing entrepreneur to invest in themselves?
It's 100% required. It's not even optional, especially not in this day and time. And the biggest thing that I kind of do to kind of shut people up on this topic is I ask them, you know, how can you expect a client to pay you a certain amount of money when you won't even invest that in yourself? And then I dropped the mic and I walked away. So,
boom.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. But definitely, I think that's from my perspective as someone who offers a coaching service. Obviously, firstly, I had to be willing to invest in a coach myself. And I find one of my jobs, going back to client education, is sharing the value and the return on investment that invested in a coach will have. It's almost like convincing them and educating them that this is why it's important. You know, I'm not just asking you to pay just to spend an hour with me. This is what you're going to get from it, and these are the results. And I invested in a coach myself, and this is the benefits of having that type of service and that type of relationship.
So I think it's really one of those things where if I wanted to make $10,000, I need to be willing to spend it. I feel like you should be able to match whatever you're talking about. You know, if you only can spend $2,000 yourself on a coach, then don't charge your services more than $2,000. And some people might say, well, no, why would you say that? You can. I feel like you should only ask for as far as you're willing to go, because you can't stretch somebody to go as far as a place you've never been. You know. I can't tell you to go try out this restaurant that is really good if I never been myself.
Yeah.
So.
Because the steak's too expensive.
Right. That steak, I know that steak is good. I never had it, but I know it's good. So go check it out. No, it's not gonna work like that.
Yeah. Okay. What has been one of your biggest successes to date?
Honestly, it's not even about money. My biggest success is knowing that I can do it again. That's my success. Like, you know, I can run another group coaching program. I could join another program. I know for a fact I can make another $100,000. So for me, it's stepping into this space, being confident, and knowing that I can do it.
Yeah. And you think that's because you've got the systems in place?
Yes, because I'm prepared. That's the only reason I can sit here and say I can do it again, is because I am prepared. Now, you would ask me that question 6 months ago or even a year ago, I'd be like, I'm still refining it, but I'm on my way, you know. But right now, in this very moment, on this day, I can
Yeah.
honestly say that my success today is being ready for the yes. I can say that with confidence.
Yeah, yeah. And how much time did you invest in preparing for that success? Or sorry, for that, putting all systems in place, ready for the yes?
It's an ongoing process because once you set up your systems, you're going to always be refining them. But to set up my initial systems, I would say about 30 to 90 days.
Okay, yeah. So you just got your head down and just put everything in place,
Right, and
tested,
I'm
tried it.
talking about right, and I'm talking about from a trial and error and refining process too within
Mm,
those 90 days. Like at the 90-day mark, okay, I tested this, I tried this worked. Because just to kind of give you, I probably changed up my pre-qualification questionnaire at least 4 or 5 times
mm. Yeah,
until I
but
got
you had
one
one in
that worked.
place. Yeah,
Right,
but you had one in place initially to refine.
right.
Yeah, so it's just having one off the bat, having one out the gates, and
And
as
you
time
won't
goes
know
on and people start using it, you begin to
exactly.
refine it.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
excellent. I mean, you're very big on strategy. Obviously, you're a brand strategist. Can I ask, did you write a business plan before you started your business?
No, I don't like
Okay.
business plans. They
Yeah.
suck.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
disrespect to nobody that has one,
Yeah.
but I feel like technology, life evolves too fast to have some. To me, it's like a dream goal. Like, oh, in 5 years, I'm gonna be here, and my business is gonna be doing this, and it's like, to me, it's basically a business plan. Is basically saying you need to be a psychic, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I just feel like it's good to have goals, but I don't plan past a year. I'm really getting to a point where I want to plan past 90 days. But if I
Mm.
wanted to be realistic with my big money goal, I just say a year.
Yeah. Yeah. So what kind of plans? Obviously, you had to have a plan. Looking at the website, looking at the strategy, the systems. You had to have had a plan. What was your planning process like then? If you didn't write a business plan?
My plan. You want to know my plan for this year?
No, in terms of when you was launching, when you was ready to step out and launch the
Right.
business initially, what planning process did you go through if you didn't write a business plan?
My plan was to scale. Two of the biggest things that I wanted to do in my business was scale and leverage. And I wanted
Yeah.
to be able to work one to many, and I wanted to have very little time with one-on-one clients. So as long as I could have a very, very little time with one-on-one clients and a lot of time working with one to many, that was my plan. And I knew that I wanted to do it in a program setting.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay.
And
And
it's simple. That's it.
yeah, and you've achieved that now.
Right. It's the same. That's exactly what I'm doing right now. I have 4 private clients, and I have 30 Building Big Brands graduates, and I have 32 students in my program now.
Okay. Wow.
Mhm.
Yeah. Excellent. Excellent. So, and what are the plans for the next 12 months? Where do you hope to take the business, or where do you plan to take
Uh,
the business?
Yeah, I plan on licensing Building Big Brands, allowing the
Okay.
students to be able to sell the program to people they want. So scaling on this global scale by having like different independent Building Big Brands consultants in different regions. So
Mhm.
planning on scaling the program bigger than what it is, bigger than just me. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay. So again, that's going to be putting all the systems in place, and you would basically
right.
sell them or license them. They would buy a license to utilize your systems.
Yes, to teach it.
Yeah.
Yes, and it could be deployed on a one-to-one level or on a one-to-many level.
Yeah. Okay. And how important is physical networking for you and your business?
Honestly, I haven't been to a networking event in years. My networking is social media.
Mm.
And if I had to qualify that as uh, networking, then I would say I network every day.
Yeah, yeah. But in terms of actually physically going out to
I
trade
go to
shows,
my
conferences,
yeah,
business meetings,
um,
etc.
yeah. The end of this month, we're going to a conference. So yeah, me and my
Okay.
husband. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. But you do the bulk of your sort of initial networking is all done online.
all online. Now I
Yeah.
do plan on doing a tour in the future. I don't know how soon, but I do plan on doing a tour.
Okay. You coming to the UK?
If you set it up, I'll come.
Okay, well, I'll cook the curry goat and rice. You pay for the flights.
Look, if
And,
you set it up, I'm in there. I'll come.
okay, okay, we'll see what we can do. We'll see what we can do. Okay, I mean, I'm just looking at this time. I can't believe this time has flown so quickly. We've got like 6 minutes left, and there's so much more we could talk about.
Yes.
I always want to ask the question, if, based on those who are watching now, someone's at that point of, they want to do this, they want to start their own business, they're looking at developing their brand. What advice would you give to them at that point of wanting to, to start that process? What advice would you give to them?
Be clear on where you're going, like having a strategy, being clear on how you want to be perceived in the market, being clear on how you look and how you put yourself out there. Like, care about how you look. I mean, that's pretty much the summary of branding. And not only caring about how you look, but be clear about what it is that you bring into the market, because you don't want people to ask you, what do you do when you sitting there with a blank face? You want to be able to tell people immediately, I blank help who do X. What is
Yeah,
that? You don't want to be sitting there like, man, I could just, man, you need to know. So,
yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, what I'm hearing is it's about clarity across the board.
right.
Clarity on who your target market is, what your products and services are, what your what your pricing is,
Exactly.
how they go through that process. It's just having that clarity and being that thorough
Mhm.
about doing that. Excellent, excellent. Before we go, I want you to just tell us where we can find out a little bit more about you and about building big brands and the podcast and the YouTube channel and the this and the that and you got all these things going on. Where's the best place for us to go to find out more about Audria
You can
Richmond?
come to my online home, which is audriarichmond.com. My name.com. That's the hub. You go there, it's going to shoot you to all these other places. It's going to take you to the YouTube channel. It's going to take you to the, scroll up for me. Yeah, so there you have it. You got the free training. You can go check out the blog. You can watch the YouTube videos. You can check out my podcast. And if you click on Masterclass and program, it'll guide you through the process. It's all systematically set up for you.
Excellent. And that's audriarichmond.com. Excellent. Let me come off that. Okay. And tell us a little bit about your podcast. I was listening to it today. Tell us a little bit about that and your strategy behind that as well.
Yeah, the Build a Big Brands podcast came about as a byproduct of the Build a Big Brands program. And I
Hmm.
wanted to have something available for people to experience building big brands, but even though they probably haven't made the investment to be a part of the program, they can still experience it on a fast-paced level. And I'm
Hmm.
a firm believer of not wasting your time. So I wanted to make sure these podcasts were like 5 minutes or less, but
Yeah.
like 10 minutes is like extremely long in my book, not from
Yeah.
a podcasting perspective, but for me being
Mm.
on a delivery side. So I
Yeah.
wanted something fast paced for people to check out, and that's pretty much what it is. I have branding and marketing tips. We
Yeah.
jump started this year with 31 branding and marketing tips to jumpstart your brand in 2015.
Hmm.
So there you have it.
Okay. So you hit them with the value and you drop the mic.
Right, right.
Boom, out of here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right, right.
Excellent, excellent. Audrey, listen, it's been extremely valuable to say the least. It's been enjoyable. I've enjoyed it. I've learned a lot. I've got notes, I've got takeaways. I'm sure the viewers have got a lot to take away and to run with. What I would
Thank
say,
you.
guys, is let's give Audrey a round of applause and just thank her for her time. It's been really valuable. Guys, take action. That's what I would say. From all you've heard today, don't just sit on it. There's no shortage of information out there. You've just received a lot of real valuable insights from someone who has done it themselves, someone who has made the transition and has done it very, very successfully and has built a big brand and a successful business that is providing them the lifestyle they want. And you can do the same. But the core thing is to take action. So, Audrea, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hopefully, when you do come to the UK, we can enjoy some rice and peas together.
Yes.
And I'm sure we will be speaking again very soon.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. If you haven't already done so, remember you can go over to tonyelbrown.com/my free guide, and you can get yourself a copy of my free guide, 7 steps to prepare you to leave work and start your own business. And I'll get you on my mailing list, and I will feed you with some real valuable insights into how to make a seamless transition from employee to business owner. Also, as I shared last week, look out because the course is coming out soon. I've kept it under wraps, but I've been working on this course for a number of months now, and today was the kind of final day of recording. We've got all the content up, we've got the website up, so I'm excited to be launching that. So keep your eye on your inbox if you are on the mailing list for information about that. Thank you for your time. We appreciate you being with us, and I will see you again on 3V TV next week. In the meantime, refine your vision, make it viable, and get visible. All the best, and take care.